Imagine an ancient library, not of scrolls, but of leaves and petals, holding secrets about our past. What if these living archives to tell us how entire civilizations rose and fell because of shifts in climate? We're diving into the hidden language of plants to uncover long-forgotten environmental dramas that shaped humanity. Plants are biological recorders, capturing environmental conditions in their cellular structure as they grow. Every ancient tree ring, every preserved seed, every fossilized pollen grain contains precise climate data. Temperature, rainfall, atmospheric composition, encoded at the molecular level. Unlike human records that can be destroyed or distorted, botanical archives are objective witnesses. A 1,000-year-old bristlecone pine remembers every drought. Preserved maize pollen reveals exact rainfall patterns. Ancient agave tissue records atmospheric CO2 concentrations. These aren't vague indicators, they're quantifiable data points that, when decoded, provide higher resolution climate records than ice cores or sediment layers, especially for the specific regions where civilizations thrived and collapsed. The science is sophisticated. Isotopic analysis of plant cellulose reveals temperature and moisture conditions during growth. Carbon and oxygen isotopes fractionate differently based on climate. Dendrochronology doesn't just count rings, it analyzes their chemistry and density to reconstruct year-by-year environmental conditions. Phytolith analysis examines microscopic silica structures within plant cells that vary with water availability. Biomarker compounds in ancient plant remains indicate specific stress conditions: drought, flooding, temperature extremes. Modern equipment can extract this data from minuscule samples. A single ancient seed, a fragment of preserved wood, pollen grains preserved in sediment. Each sample is a climate station that recorded conditions continuously throughout its life, creating temporal resolution that archaeological methods alone cannot achieve. The revelations are transformative. Maya collapse has long been debated, but Maya and agave pollen records now show a series of catastrophic droughts between 800 and 1000 CE, the worst in millennia, precisely when major cities were abandoned. Ancient Mesopotamian date palm species succession reveals increasing soil salinization from irrigation, documenting agricultural decline decades before written records acknowledge it. In the Indus Valley, shifts in wheat and barley varieties preserved at archaeological sites indicate the monsoon system fundamentally changed around 2000 BCE, explaining urban abandonment without requiring invasion theories. The plants remember what humans forgot or never wrote down. The human implications are profound. These precisely dated climate shifts triggered cascading effects: crop failures, famine, social instability, migration, conflict, and ultimately civilization collapse or transformation. But they also reveal resilience. Societies that adapted their agricultural practices, diversified crops, or relocated survived. The botanical record shows ancient peoples weren't passive victims. They responded actively to environmental stress, sometimes successfully, sometimes not. Understanding these patterns contextualizes our current moment. We face climate change faster than anything in the botanical record, but ancient examples show which strategies worked. Agricultural diversification, resource management flexibility, and willingness to adapt settlement patterns before crisis becomes catastrophe. In January 2026, as climate projections grow more urgent, these biome whispers offer more than historical curiosity. They provide tested data on climate-society interactions. Ancient crop varieties that survived droughts inform modern agricultural breeding programs. Traditional water management systems refined over centuries of climate stress outperform contemporary engineering in many contexts. Ecological restoration projects use pollen records to identify historically appropriate plant communities for regions. The living archives aren't just chronicling the past, they're blueprinting survival strategies for the future. The plants have been keeping meticulous records all along, documenting every environmental shift and its impact on human societies. Perhaps it's time we learned to read them before we're forced to repeat lessons they've already recorded.